yo, Lloyd Rule aka Megabuts. In today's video, we're going to be looking at Sander Wojcik's control list from the 2025 World Championships. I'm probably so behind on this. I've seen other YouTubers already making a video about it. However, I really haven't had time to just make the video. I've had the gameplay footage for like a week and a half now, maybe even 2 weeks, and just haven't really done anything with it. But that's okay. Let's look at the deck list. Already here at that deck list, starting us off with what I feel is to be like the most important card in the deck is going to be the Elgym. Elgym has the first attack that the only one we're going to be using in this deck actually for this Elgym is going to be for 1 psychic energy, Slight Shift. You move an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. Now, this isn't specific to their active Pokemon, so you can move energy around on their bench Pokemon as well. You just kind of move them wherever you see fit, which is really nice, especially with cards like Munkidori in the format. You can kind of move the dark energy off to other Pokemon, or even cards like Pikachu EX that require specific types of energy. You can kind of move them off as well, and also just disrupts things like Dragapult, being able to kind of slow them down a little bit. Also, being able to remove things around like Neo Upper Energy is kind of insane. Now, for our draw engine, how we're going to be kind of being able to find all these useful cards that we need in the deck. We are playing 4 of the Dunsparce and 4 of the Dudunsparce with the runaway draw. Once during your turn, you may draw 3 cards. If you draw any cards this way, you shuffle this cards and all attached cards back into your deck. This is also kind of a way for us to not deck ourselves, which I feel like is pretty important, especially when you're playing a control deck. Then we're playing 1 Munkidori for the Adrenaline Brain, 1 Fan Rotom for the Fan Call, being able to find our Dunsparces pretty quickly. Genesect for that Ace Nullifier if this Pokemon has a Pokemon tool attached. Your opponents can't play any Ace Spec cards from their hand. Iron Thorns with the Initialization. As long as Pokemon's in the active spot, Pokemon with Rule Box in play, both yours and your opponents have no abilities except for future Pokemon. And then we have Cornerstone Mask, Ogerpon EX. The ability Cornerstone Stance, prevent all damage done from attacks done to this Pokemon by your opponent's Pokemon that have an ability, which is really helpful. Got the Sudowoodo for the Impound, being able to make it so they can't retreat, so 20 damage during your opponent's next turn if any Pokemon can't retreat, which is really helpful. We also have the Shaymin to be able to prevent damage done to our bench Pokemon and things like that. We also have the Pikachu EX. Now, we're not attacking with Pikachu, but it is in there to kind of just stall and being able to have that Resolute Heart ability. If this Pokemon is full HP, it would not be knocked out by from an attack, and it would just go back to 10 HP, which is really nice. We're playing 3 copies of the new Hilda card. Search your deck for an evolution Pokemon, an energy card, reveal them, put them into your hand. Very useful in this deck, being able to find yourself the Dunsparce and an energy card being Prism Energy or Psychic Energy, or our A-Spec of choice being that Enriching Energy, which allows us to be able to draw 4 cards whenever it's attached to a Pokemon. So the idea is you kind of get all your stuff set up. You get your Elgyms and Munkidoris and things set up with Prism Energies or Psychic Energies, and then you Enriching Energy almost hopefully every turn to be able to draw a bunch of cards and then shuffle it with the Dunsparce back into the deck, which is really nice. 2 Penny, 2 Brock Scouting, 1 Ruffian, 1 Iona, 1 Giovanni's Charisma, which doesn't really see a lot of play right now. Being able to put an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon into their hand. If you do, you attach a card from your hand to your active Pokemon, so being able to kind of speed things up with your energy acceleration, which is nice. Lana's Aid, 1 Boss, 1 Course Tenacity, 1 Zero-6, 4 Buddy Buddy, 3 Pal Pad, 3 Counter Catcher, 2 Accompanying Flute, 1 Nest Ball, 1 Redeem Wheel Ticket, 1 Night Stretcher, 1 Ultra Ball, 3 Handheld Fans. If this Pokemon this card's attached to in the active spot is damaged by an attack, even if it's knocked out, you may move an energy from their attacking Pokemon to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So with that Slight Shift attack and Handheld Fan, we're able to move potentially 2 energies in a single turn, really being able to slow down our opponent. And then we have 2 Lively Stadiums, 1 Artisan, 3 Prism Energy, 2 Psychic, and 1 Enriching Energy. Let's get into the gameplay. Already here at that gameplay here at the coin flip, we are going to elect to go second. The reason I want to go second here is I want to try to find myself into a supporter, whether that's Brock Scouting or anything like that, to kind of get set up as quickly as possible. And also being able to get an early Slight Shift attack feels pretty good. So we're going to start off with Elgym in the active spot. Our opponent here going to have Wellspring, Ogerpon EX, and then, of course, a Charmander and a Hoot as well. We're going to get ourselves a Hilda. We got quite a bit going on here. We got Brock Scouting, Hilda, Buddy Buddy Poffin. We got Enriching Energy, Prism Energy, and Psychic Energy. So, not too bad. But I think we're going to rip the Buddy Buddy Poffin first. I think that just makes the most sense. But I ended up grabbing myself a Fan Rotom and the Dunsparce. And then we're going to use that Fan Call to grab 2 more Dunsparce, being able to throw both of them onto the bench here. And then I could use Brock Scouting to grab myself an evolution Pokemon, but I actually go for Hilda here because I can grab an energy and an evolution. And the next turn I could go Brock Scouting, get another evolution Pokemon, which is going to be pretty nice. Brock Scouting is really only meant to be in the deck for setup purposes. And then after that, Hilda is just better most of the time. But that's okay nonetheless. Our opponent here is going to evolve into Charmeleon, and then attach a Fire Energy to that Ogerpon, and then rip an Iona, which is unfortunate for us, actually. But now we have Brock Scouting, so it won't be too big of a deal. Like I said, we can still get it to Dunsparce and kind of go from there, but we'll have to see here. Our opponent is going to have that Jewel Seeker ability active here. Going to be able to grab themselves 2 trainer cards and put them into their hand because that Ogerpon is in place. They have a Terra Pokemon, which is great for them, but not so great for us, actually, as we don't really want to have to deal with that. So our opponent going to get 2 trainer cards, putting them into their hand. Buddy Buddy Poffin here going to be able to get some more Pokemon on the bench. Probably going to be eyeing up the Charmander, but instead I'm going to go for a Badoo and a Hoothoot here. Going to be looking at maybe an item lock from our opponent, which is definitely not great for us, as Slate Shift doesn't really care if you have no energy. It doesn't do anything for us. So we can't use the Ultra Ball in our hand, but we can Brock Scouting here. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to go Brock's Scouting, and we're probably eyeing up something else. But I'm just going to go into the Iron Thorns here, and then I'm going to retreat out of that into the Iron Thorns, slowing down the Infernal Rain coming from the Charizard, and then playing the Lively Stadium to give all my Pokemon just a little more HP. So if they were to play down maybe a Dusknoir at some point in the game before they can bump the Lively Stadium, we're in a pretty okay spot. Crispin going to come out here. However, going to go Fighting Energy, I think that was. And then a Water Energy to the Ogerpon, and then Fighting Energy to the Ogerpon as well. So I got maybe a Torrential Pump at some point in time here. But we can't really do a whole lot. We kind of just have Penny, and that's the only card we can play. So not great for us, but it's okay. We can just kind of pass turn. I'm kind of like reading the Ogerpon, seeing if there's anything I can do. And unfortunately, I don't think there is anything I can do at the moment. So we're in a position where we just have to pray that they don't have it, and just kind of pop off. But they're going to go research here, going to get themselves fresh 7 cards hand and Ultra Ball. Going to pitch Rare Candy and Fan Rotom here. Going to get yourself a Noctowl. Going to be able to go for that Jewel Seeker once again. Going to be able to find themselves probably a Charizard potentially. But it doesn't make sense for them to actually grab and evolve into the Charizard until they get this Iron Thorns out of the active spot. Iron Thorns is really good into decks like Goldengo. It does pretty okay into decks like Charizard as well. As you can see here, I'm kind of forcing my opponent to slow down their energy acceleration, being that Charizard EX. Which is really nice. And Iron Thorns just kind of helps cook the Dango matchup effectively. So Buddy Poffin with that Duskull and another Hoothoot. Going to have the Air Zero Underdepths as well. Itchy Pollen for another 10. And back over to us. Here we're going to have a Genesect and a Penny, which is just not going to do it for us. We really need to find ourselves maybe an Iono, a Hilda. Brock Scouting could be good. There's quite just a top deck of a Dunsparce itself could be nice, but they're going to throw down a Terapagos EX and Itchy Pollen for 10. We're going to have a Zerosix, but once again, that doesn't really do a lot for us, so we're going to have to pass it back to our opponent. But thankfully, just sticking the Iron Thorns in the active spot has been enough to slow their deck down, because like I said, they can't really do anything with the Charizard. So Ultra Ball going to come out here, grabbing ourselves another Noctowl here. Now, we could see something of maybe a boss to try to pull up something and then evolve into the Charizard, and then being able to kind of get around our Iron Thorns EX, which actually be our worst nightmare. However, they've already burned through 3 Jewel Seekers here. So Terra Orb and that Crispin here. Crispin is going to come out, putting a fire energy in hand, and then attaching another energy, maybe? Nope, just the fire energy from hand, it seems. So getting pretty low on energy, it seems, which is really nice for us. Or they just have fire energy left, and that's it. So Itchy Pollen again, we get another Dunsparce, or sorry, not another, our first Dunsparce in hand, which thank God. So we're going to runaway draw 3 cards here, which is kind of nice, but we get not really anything that's helpful for us. Now, I can attach the Printer Energy to this Elgyem. I can Penny and pick up the Iron Thorns, and then I can go into the Elgyem, rebench the Iron Thorns if it gets knocked out, and then move an energy. And I'm going to move the water to, I think I move it to like the Badoo. Yeah, I was going to move it to the Dusknoir, but that doesn't make sense because they can just pop it and then get it back with Super Auto Night Stretcher. Moving it to the Badoo, it never needs energy to do anything. I don't want to put it on the Noctowl or the Hoo-Hoo because they can retreat out of it or use Speed Wing at some point. So moving into the Badoo just feels like the right spot. But now we did open up for the Charizard play. However, our opponent is in a pretty interesting situation. They could just keep item locking us, which is actually pretty good. But looks like they're going to go on the offense here. Going to Unify Beatdown for 240, taking a knockout on our little Elgym. So now we're out from underneath item lock, which is really helpful. So we're going to see what we can do here. We got Ultra Ball active. We got Giovanni's Charisma we could do. We got all kinds of stuff. So we're going to Ultra Ball, getting rid of the Genesect and the Ruffian here. Going to grabbing ourselves the Dunsparce, and then going to be able to evolve that Dunsparce into the Dunsparce, and then we're going to runaway draw. But not before we Buddy Poffin first, getting in the Elgym and a Dunsparce in play. And then runaway draw, getting 3 cards. Going to get that Prism Energy and a Psychic and a Munkidori as well. We're going to throw up the Elgyem. We're going to bench the Sudowoodo, attach the Psychic Energy, counter Catcher. We're going to pull up, I believe, just a random Noctowl. Now, I could have went for an Impound at some point. However, I really want to disrupt our opponent. And I think just moving energies is where we're at. We've already know they're kind of a little low on energies, and they're kind of spread in a weird way. The water energy's on the Badoo now. The fire energy's on the Badoo. They've went through all their Jewel Seekers at this point. They've done all 4 of them. So no more Jewel Seekers coming out. The only thing that could hurt us is if they go Rare Candy Dusknoir, pop it, kill maybe the Sudowoodo, because that's kind of our next play, is to hopefully pull up like a Noctowl and then go Prism Energy and trap it for the rest of the game. But our opponent here going to go onto an energy for the Noctowl, retreat into the Terapagos, and now they're going to go Super Rod, and then they're going to be able to shuffle some energies back into the deck. Going to go Fire Energy and that Fan Rotom, unfortunately. Being able to get more energies into the deck, and they actually just conceding to us as they don't have any more energies to be able to move around and kind of save themselves throughout the rest of the game. So being able to allow us to just kind of consistently moving all these energies around, really being able to slow our opponent down, making it so they couldn't utilize all their attackers effectively, especially when you're playing a deck like Charizard. You have to be very, very careful with how much energies you have, because Charizard decks play anywhere between 5 to 7 fire energies. Anything more than that is just kind of unheard of at this point. So really being able to utilize that slight shift to our advantage, and Iron Thorns was a huge help as well. Let's jump into the outro. Alright, going to draw for today's video. I'll make sure to put decks that I played in today's video in the description below, ready for copy paste into TCG Live. If you enjoy the content I've been making stuff for the channel, definitely make sure to leave a like, smash the subscribe button. I would appreciate it. It costs you nothing, and it means the world to me. But before we head off today, I want to give a huge shout out, special thanks to all of my channel members you guys see here. They continue to support the channel even further by joining the Trainer Club here at the Mega Blitz YouTube channel. So thank you guys, I really appreciate it. But I thank all the rest of you for your continued support as well. We're approaching 1K subs, which is really exciting time for the channel. We're coming up on 2 years of me making content, which is also kind of crazy. But I'll see you all in the next one. Peace!